Consider this, a bank robbery that shook the very core of New York City, an audacious act that remains etched in the annals of criminal history. It was a day like any other in the city that never sleeps. The sun cast long shadows between the towering giants of steel and glass, the streets hummed with the ceaseless rhythm of life, and amidst this bustling symphony the unsuspecting heart of New York's financial district carried on its daily operations. In the midst of this urban jungle stood a fortress, a monolith of stone and steel. The bank, a bastion of wealth and power, was more than just another building. It was a symbol, a testament to the city's indomitable spirit. It was a vault for the dreams and ambitions of a million souls. Its security measures were touted as impenetrable, a challenge to any who dare defy it. Within its cold, metallic walls, the bank held an unimaginable fortune. A wealth that was guarded by layers of cutting-edge technology, stringent protocols, and an army of vigilant security personnel. It was a fortress that had withstood the test of time, a fortress that had laughed in the face of countless attempts to breach its defenses. Yet, beneath the surface, beneath the hustle and bustle, a storm was brewing. A storm that would shake the city to its very core. The stage was set, the actors were in place, and the curtain was about to rise on one of the most audacious acts in the history of crime. The bank, unyielding and formidable, stood as a challenge, a gauntlet thrown to the world. It was a challenge that was about to be accepted, a challenge that was about to be met with an audacity that was as breathtaking as it was unthinkable. As the city buzzed with life, no one could predict the audacious act that was about to unfold. Behind every crime there's a mastermind. This one was no different. Enter our protagonist, or should we say antagonist. The man behind the curtain, the puppeteer, the mastermind. He was no ordinary man, rather, a genius with a dark side. Born and raised in the concrete jungle of New York City, he was a product of his environment, a man of many talents, but one who had fallen through the cracks. His name was a mystery, but his deeds were not. Known in the underworld as the Architect, he was a man of detail, precision, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. His background, mathematics, his motivation, not just the money, but the thrill of the game, the adrenaline rush that came with outsmarting the system. The Architect's plan was nothing short of a masterpiece. It was an intricate web of deception, manipulation, and audacity. He had studied the bank's every move, every security protocol, every vault combination. He knew the bank better than those who built it. His plan was not just about robbing the bank, but about making a statement, showcasing the flaws in the system. His strategy was as layered as an onion. First, he would manipulate the bank's internal system, causing a diversion. Then his crew would sneak in, disguised as regular employees. The security systems would be temporarily disabled, creating a small window of opportunity. The vault, a fortress in its own right, would be their final challenge. The risk was high, almost suicidal. Yet, the potential reward was a fortune beyond imagination. The Architect was not deluded by the thought of an easy victory. He knew the stakes, he understood the risk, and he was ready to dance with danger. He had assembled a team of misfits, each with their own unique skill set. They were not just criminals, they were artists in their own right, each playing a crucial role in this grand performance. With the pieces in place, the clock began ticking towards the moment of truth. As the city slept, a daring plan was set into motion. Underneath the starless New York sky, the City of Dreams was blissfully unaware of the audacious plot unfolding within its heart. Our crew, a motley group of gifted individuals, each with a unique set of skills, were about to undertake the biggest heist in the city's history. The first hurdle was the bank's imposing facade, a fortress designed to keep out even the most determined of intruders. But our crew was not deterred. Like a ballet dancer, the nimble safecracker slipped through the shadows, evading the ever-watchful eyes of the security cameras. A pin dropped, a lock clicked open, and they were in. The first challenge had been elegantly surmounted, but many more lay ahead. Inside, the bank was a labyrinth of corridors and vaults. The crew, however, moved with a confident precision that came from meticulous planning and countless hours of rehearsal. They navigated the intricate maze with an almost supernatural ease, each step bringing them closer to their ultimate prize. But then, an unexpected obstacle. The bank's state-of-the-art security system, a formidable adversary even for these seasoned professionals. The tension was palpable as the crew's tech wizard set to work, fingers dancing across a keyboard in a rapid-fire symphony. Each second that passed was a second closer to discovery, but failure was not an option. With a final triumphant keystroke, the security system was disarmed. Another hurdle cleared, another step closer to the goal. As the crew moved deeper into the bank, the stakes became higher. Every heartbeat echoed the ticking of a clock, every breath held a silent prayer. The thrill of the chase, the fear of the unknown, it was a deadly cocktail of emotions. But the crew pressed on, driven by the tantalizing promise of untold riches. Unknown to them, their actions were about to trigger a chain of events with far-reaching consequences. The morning sun rose on a city rocked by an audacious crime. As the dawn's first light pierced through the skyscrapers of New York, it illuminated a scene of chaos and disbelief. The city's biggest bank, a towering symbol of security and stability, had been shaken to its core. The aftermath of the audacious heist was like a surreal painting, a tableau of shock, bewilderment, and a creeping sense of dread. The bank's employees, who had once walked these halls with a sense of routine and familiarity, now stared at the ransacked vaults and upturned desks in utter disbelief. Their faces mirrored the shock of a city taken aback by the audacity of the crime. The air was thick with questions. How had this happened? Who was behind this? And most importantly, where were the culprits? As the city grappled with the enormity of the heist, the stage was set for the entrance of the investigators, a team of seasoned professionals. They were the city's best hope in this dire situation. Their task was monumental: to unearth the truth from the rubble, to find the needle of truth in the haystack of deception. The investigators began their work with meticulous precision, combing through the chaos for clues. Each piece of evidence, no matter how small, could be the key that unlocked the mystery. Their initial findings painted a chilling picture. This was no ordinary crime. It was a meticulously planned and executed operation, a masterstroke of criminal ingenuity. The bank's security system, thought to be impregnable, had been breached with alarming ease. The culprits had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of questions. As the investigators delved deeper, they realized that the heist was more complex than they had initially thought. It was a puzzle, and each piece was masterfully hidden, waiting to be found. In the aftermath of the audacious heist, the city held its breath. As the investigators pieced together the jigsaw, the scale of the crime began to dawn upon them. This was not just a robbery, it was a daring challenge thrown at the very heart of the city. As the dust settled, the scale of the crime became apparent and the hunt for the culprits began. A city in shock, a massive manhunt, and a mastermind on the run. The audacious heist had left an indelible mark on New York City, and the authorities were scrambling to pick up the pieces and hunt down those responsible. From the city's bustling streets to its quiet, shadowy corners, the manhunt was relentless, fueled by a need for justice and a thirst for closure. The authorities were always one step behind, the elusive mastermind always just out of reach. There were tantalizing clues, close calls that made the heart race and the breath catch. A sighting here, a whisper there, a trail of breadcrumbs that led them on a wild goose chase across the city, and yet the mastermind remained elusive, a wily fox outwitting the hounds at every turn. The city held its breath, the suspense thick in the air as the chase continued, days turning into weeks, weeks into months. The mastermind was always on the move, slipping through the fingers of the authorities like water through a sieve. But then, just when it seemed like the mastermind might evade capture for good, fate intervened. A lucky break, a tip-off, a moment of carelessness, and the authorities pounced. The mastermind, the driving force behind the unthinkable heist, was finally in custody. The city exhaled, a collective sigh of relief echoing through its streets and alleyways. The investigation continued, painstaking and thorough. Each piece of the puzzle was put into place, the full picture of the audacious heist finally coming into focus. There were trials, convictions, sentences handed down. Justice, it seemed, had finally been served. In the end, the audacious heist served as a stark reminder of the fine line between audacity and recklessness, forever etched in New York's memory. The mastermind was behind bars, but the scars of the heist ran deep. The city would never forget the audacity of the crime, the audacity of the chase, and the audacity of a mastermind who dared to dream the unthinkable.